Hello and welcome to the Europe Conversation. I'm Stefan Grobe. My guest today is the president of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, a man whose political journey an American news magazine once described as from nationalist hawk to devout Europeanist. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us today.
Privileged to be with you here.
The article I was referring to was from 2014. Are you still a devout Europeanist?
In the meantime, I became a usual suspect. But as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm pro-European oriented.
Now, Serbia is an interesting country. People love Donald Trump, and people are also very fond of Vladimir Putin. I wonder, is there any excitement for Europe or European leaders? We never see any European flags during the protests.
I'm not a leader of protests, at least, but there is a very rational explanation for that. First of all, Serbs, they have always been pro-Republican oriented, speaking about United States elections, because we believe that we suffered a lot from democratic administration in 1999 and even after that. And that's why people very much welcomed President Trump's victory, and it's very obvious that he has a very large scale of popularity in my country. At the same time, Russia has been a traditional ally of Serbia for not many decades, but for centuries, and that's another reason. Speaking about European leader, people are still very rational, and they think that EU path is the best way and the best path for Serbia in the future. But speaking about the leaders, yeah, I believe that people in my country, they do respect the President Costa, Ursula von der Leyen as a commissioner leader, particularly because of different behavior comparing to all the others, because she was visiting twice or even three times, not only Belgrade, but the other areas, southern part of Serbia, which is a very rare case. That's what our people really respect. I cannot make comparison in popularity, but if you ask people, there is a still majority of people that would like to join the European Union.
Do you fear that Serbia becomes another Turkey, dwelling in the European waiting room forever?
Serbia didn't open any single chapter, any single cluster in the last 3.5 years. It very much coincides with the fact that at that time war in Ukraine started. And we were the only country that did not impose sanctions against Russia, although we have always been very supportive to territorial integrity of Ukraine, to UN Charter, to UN resolutions. And we have always been condemning an incursion and everything that was going on Ukrainian territory, but it was not enough. At the same time, I believe that we have to consider all the remarks, all the demands from European Union. We need to change the level of our enthusiasm, the level of our energy, to understand what we were doing in a wrong way and to go much faster. Just to say a few words to your people here. When you say Serbia, it means, comparing to Western Balkans, it is almost 55% of overall Western Balkans export to EU. Serbia is, regarding that issue, bigger than all the others altogether. Speaking about FDI attraction, last 3 years, Serbia was more than 60% of overall in attracting foreign direct investments than all the others in the Western Balkans, much bigger. And at the same time, yes, I know that we are facing thousands of doubts from different member states because of our relationship with Beijing, with Moscow. I cannot, and I'm not going to justify myself for talking with someone. I think it's really stupid, and I'm not a pupil in an elementary school, to tell you the truth. I believe that everybody should talk to each other, and I think it's very healing, and it doesn't mean that I agree with someone if I speak to someone.
There's a lot of to unpack here of what you said, and we'll come to that in a minute. But first, when you travel across Europe, meeting people, meeting your counterparts, how would you rate the support and the excitement within the European Union for a Serbian membership?
It's different. When I speak to Southerners, there is much bigger support. I'm going to meet President Macron in a few days. Again, I believe that we have had so far French support, Italian support. I was meeting Giorgia Meloni several times in the last 12 months. It's pretty much the same with Spaniards, Portuguese, Greek, and the others. It's a bit different when we go to Benelux countries, and it's a bit different when we speak to Baltic countries and Scandinavian countries. We'll have German Minister of Foreign Affairs very soon in Belgrade in a few days. I have spoken recently to Chancellor Merz. We had some good talks, and I hope that we'll be able to hosting him soon in Belgrade, which means January, February next year.
When you were in China earlier this year, you told a Chinese interviewer that you didn't sleep the entire night before your talks with President Xi the next day. I wonder, do you experience the same sleeplessness before a day of talks with Ursula von der Leyen?
You want to see this? I'm not a witty person at all. I believe that I'm, at least from time to time, too serious and very responsible. Yes, I cannot overcome this type of jitters, never ever. And I do a lot of preparations. And I was doing a lot of preparations last night for my meeting with Antonio Costa, and I do my best to analyze, to scrutinize everything, to learn by heart what is necessary, and I'm not ashamed to say this. And from time to time I act as a student, because I believe that I should be well prepared and at least not to be surprised in any kind of discussion I might have. And this is not going to be changed, and I believe in speaking to Chinese president. It's a great opportunity for the leader, small guy from a very proud country that might deliver messages that he needs. And it's the same when I speak to Ursula, it's the same when I speak to Antonio. I know them, and I met them more times than I was meeting President Xi, but that's how it goes.
Let's talk about foreign policy, a topic you're at loggerheads with the European Union. You have repeatedly supported Ukraine's territorial integrity, even saying that Crimea and Donbas are and will always be part of Ukraine. Yet you oppose the EU's anti-Russian sanctions. Why?
I do not oppose. We are not an EU member state. I cannot do anything on this. I cannot influence it.
But
I can tell you, no, I
would
can
support them once you're in the EU.
I can tell you, but we are not a member of EU. But we were not. Nobody asked us about anything. They just tell us you have to align with it. We were under sanctions for many years, and it actually harmed ordinary people. It has always been the case, and it did not bring the very best result. And I have some doubts about the outcome of huge sanction packages that were imposed against Russia in the last 3.5 or 4 years, whatever. And but we had no influence on that. Speaking about Ukrainian territorial integrity, it means that we observe UN Charter, UN resolutions and all the values of international public law. That's how it goes. That's the way we protect our territorial integrity. And also it's easy to rebuke, it's easy to scold small countries like Serbia, which are not members of the club. Because you have a usual suspect, you have always a good culprit for everything. And even Commissioner was saying, it's not fair, it's not good, it's not nice if he goes to Moscow. Had to go, had to take care of vital issues for my people and for my country. That was of an utmost, of super interest of my people and of my country. But I didn't hear that she was mentioning, or anybody else was mentioning, many other European leaders. And I'm not speaking about Viktor Orban. Many other European leaders that were speaking to Putin in the meantime. And I went there after 3 years of war, not before that, and I wanted to discuss our bilateral issues. Did not interfere into this big war agenda, big issues, because I know my place, I know the place of my country. And I think it's a very fair response. And as you can see, I say what I think to you here, I say the same in my country, I say it everywhere.
You said last week in an interview with a German media outlet that Serbia was ready to sell ammunition to EU countries, even if Ukraine
We were discussing
it.
that 5 years ago. We were discussing that 5 and 4 and 3 years ago.
Right, but
and I was saying to them,
Yeah.
I was saying to them the following. Here's the story. We are able to produce, let's say, 155 to 160,000 of different type of shells. Mortar shells, 60 millimeters, 80, 81, 82 millimeters, both Soviet NATO calibers, 120 millimeters, from all howitzer shells, 155, 152, tank, rocket artillery shells, 122, 128, whatever millimeters, which is still equal or a bit more than France. And I said to them, we have 30,000 people that are dependent on our ability to sell this ammunition to someone. Now it's a good market. Whatever we produce, we can sell it. But when we sell it, then we got, but no one mentioned that here, because it didn't fit to their story. We got 2 very strong statements from Russian foreign intelligence against Serbia and myself, because they found some shells on Ukrainian side.
Is that why you halted the exports in June?
That was one of the reasons, because we didn't want to arm up any war infections. But now we have a problem, because we need to sell it to someone, and we'll sell it to whomever we can in order to earn some money, but we'll try to take care and not to see that ammunition in that war zone. But it happens from time to time. At the end, we'll have to pay our workers.
Okay. So we've heard...
Tell me, is there something that is not rational?
No, absolutely. I'm not saying you're irrational, but I just wonder, what is the change of heart? When in June you banned the exports, and now you're saying we're ready to...
It's not a change. We need to survive. I'm not saying that we are going to give it to Russians or to Ukrainians. I say that we need to sell it to someone in the world.
Okay. Speaking of survival, your country was once seen as a front runner in the race of EU membership.
Before the war in Ukraine.
Before the war in Ukraine. But
Yes.
now the EU Commission is saying there's a backsliding of the rule of law in Serbia, insufficient reform, no detectable
it's not seen in reports.
progress. Now, my question is the EU too harsh on Serbia?
I would like to say that, but I promised myself not to do it. Yes, I do my best to keep my word. They asked me to change my narrative, otherwise I would say so. But I'm not going to do it. It means that now let me use this great, even Euronews bureaucratic language. And you can see that I'm still able to learn it. Serbia is very much committed to its EU path and will take it in a very serious and responsible way. All the remarks, all the demands from EU partners, and considering it will change our attitudes and our stances on different issues and will improve our behavior in the future, and we hope that the European Union will notice it. Thank you very much. This is how it goes.
EU Commissioner Kos said that that Serbia has too much presidential power, and that everything
that's an issue.
Everything about enlargement is done by the president, and that's bad. What do you say? What do you say to that?
Fully agree with her. See, I learned a lesson.
Okay.
Good news is I'm not going to be the president within a year and month, 13 months. That's a good news. Then some other people will do it.
Okay. I'm going to talk one question, if I may, sir, about the domestic situation. We've been seeing protests for a year now, following.
We've been seeing protests for 11 years in Serbia.
All right. Following the Novi Sad catastrophe.
Yes.
My question is, are you worried that things might get out of hand, that there is an escalation of the protests? And also, if I may, do you think that the country is changing faster than you have thought?
Our country, I'm amazed with the changes that we provided. You, dear Stefan, come to Belgrade. You wouldn't recognize the city, not from your own experience, but not even from the photos you've seen. Each time, let's say, my friend Mario David is coming to Belgrade, he has to realize and to acknowledge that he hasn't seen such a big improvement and changes almost in any other country, not only in our region. According to IMF anticipation, Serbia is going to have the biggest growth rate almost in an entire Europe in the next 4 years. Speaking about protests, I was facing protests since I became the Prime Minister in 2014. Before that, I was Deputy Prime Minister for 2 years. Since then, we had maybe altogether 6 months without protests. But even having in mind all this stuff, we were progressing well with good growth rates. Also, need to tell you one thing. When I became the Prime Minister, public debt, just to see how disciplined we were, public debt to GDP ratio in Serbia was 79%. Now it's 43%, twice less than average European public debt to GDP ratio. Yeah. And for the first time in our history, and the only country in an entire region, we got an investment grade from Fitch, and we are getting it from Standard as well, and I believe within 6 months from Moody's as well. It speaks for itself. And speaking about the report, you see everything about economy and fiscal and financial stability. Great grades, great marks, which is of an utmost importance for the people, for the citizens. And I really mean now, put my jokes aside, I really mean that we need many things to do regarding rule of law. I'm very ready to participate in that process, or at least to be helpful to the government. And I think that Serbia has long legs, and that we can overtake all the front runners of today, and that we can join the European Union relatively soon.
Aleksandar Vučić, President of Serbia, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.